because
Okay, I think we're going to get started. Mr. LaPera asked me to be the fill-in temporary host for tonight only. Hope we've got a good audience online. You never know. I do thank folks who came out tonight. Traffic, as usual, is a bit of a nightmare here in the Music City. But I'm Larry Cox with Republic State Mortgage. I'm here tonight on behalf of Green, the Global Real Estate Education Network, and got a smaller crowd than we would like, but that's the way it goes sometimes. We're going to sally forward. We do have a great speaker tonight, somebody that just realized that she and I have known each other for a long time and didn't know we've known each other for a long time, because I forget things from time to time. Christina Livingston with Leader One, is that Financial Enterprises? Force? Oh, there it is, Corporation. I couldn't put my glasses back on to read that. Anyway, you're going to talk to us tonight about what mortgages, different programs. Preparing your property for today's mortgage market. So you don't get one of those inspection lists a mile long like I got the other day on and went crazy back and forth renegotiating the contract. Give me this, give me that, because you got this problem, that problem. It's going to be a great topic, and we need to hear about it. So with no further ado, I'll step aside and turn it over to Christina. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. Glad to see you guys. Listen, three's a party, right? They say three's a crowd, but we have, multiples of three, so we'll take it. My name is Christina Livingston. I've been in the mortgage industry now for about 13 years. Just to share with you a little bit about myself, I'm a Nashville native, a single mom, and, kind of my claim to fame is to tailor a lot of different mortgage solutions that are very unique. And to solve problems really, really well. So tonight I hope to basically give you a 30,000-foot overview of how to best prepare your property for today's mortgage market. We're going to go over quite a few things. We will touch on a little bit of products, but we're not going to go too deep into mortgage financing. This is really more about you and making sure that you get the most value out of the next 25 or so minutes, maybe 30 at the max. I'll try to go pretty quick. If I talk too fast, definitely let me know. I am a quick talker. And I know we were joking earlier about, Mighty Mouse. And Mighty Mouse was having a tonic back in the day, and so this is my spark, to be able to drink that. So, all right, so with that being said, we're going to have a presentation for you to kind of go along here. I'm going to have him just go ahead and pull it up on the screen. Looks like they're working on getting that pulled up for you. And we'll just kind of go over it really quickly. Let me grab my glasses super quick. I'm older than I look. Right?
No.
All right. Now I can actually see what's in front of me. You're a good looking bunch.
All right.
Okay. All right. So you just want to go to the first slide here. We're just going to dive right in. I hope that you'll get from this a high amount of value in terms of what you need to do when you own a property and you're wanting to flip it, rent it out, whatever it is that you're looking to do as you invest, whether it's looking like a long-term rental. I'm going to give you some advice on lease purchase agreements and how to get that property sold smoothly at a later date. I know that those are sort of making a comeback. So a couple things to keep in mind. I'm going to dive right in right now to condos and townhomes. Why? Because this is like the hot topic. Now, I did bring with me today, and I've provided to the kind folks at Green, several additional resources that you're not going to see on the screen. And I'll let you know what those are as we go through. There's quite a bit of information I've jam-packed for you guys to read on your own time. Several different PDFs, guides, how-tos, where to look up information. So you're welcome to keep a copy of this presentation. Definitely, there's going to be a lot of valuable links in this presentation, so don't try to write all of that down. If you do see a link, just so you can usually Google the search phrase if you can't reference it or have trouble referencing it later. I want to chat with you mostly today from the perspective of being a local mortgage lender here for the last 13 years. And what I'm seeing, literally every example I'm going to give you today is from the last 90 days of 2018 closings. Okay, so this is very recent, right? Because what we were seeing last year, we're not necessarily seeing this year. So this is super, on topic and relevant. Just 2 months ago, I had a deal where we ran into some issues with the homeowners association. In fact, I had a couple of deals where I ran into the homeowners association problems. Some were on condos and some were on townhomes. There's a couple things you need to be checking, and you can see this information in the resources I've provided that are additional to this presentation. About your master policy, the number of units that are 30 days late on their homeowners association payments, you need to check into your homeowners association. The first thing you need to know is your master policy covering enough? The number of units that are 30 days late on HOA, do they have 10% reserves, and a couple of other things. The first thing you honestly need to know, this is going to make you laugh, is your HOA guy a jerk? Do you know how many jerks I've talked to in the last 90 days? True story. Had a girl, millennial, in California, found me on Yelp. Okay, so shameless plug. I'm Nashville's top-rated mortgage lender on Yelp. She called me up. She said, "Christina, I want to buy my first property. It's an investment property, and I want to buy it sight unseen. Who can you refer me to that's a great realtor?" So I got her one of the best in town. Went through the whole transaction, power of attorney, the whole 9 yards. Everything was going great. Guess what? This HOA guy was a royal jerk. Don't go buy properties with people who have HOA members or whether it's an affiliate or representative that's a jerk. This girl literally walked away because she did not want to deal with his attitude. And literally, I've seen that happen at least 3 times in the last 90 days. I don't know what's going on. Don't know if folks are on a power trip. Avoid the jerks. Sincerely. All right, had another deal. I couldn't sell it as a mortgage lender in the secondary market because the homeowners association didn't have enough insurance coverage on their master policy to cover the whole dwelling. This is stuff I want each of you guys to look into before you purchase a property in that development and make sure that it's right. I provided resources on that. And so that's pretty much it. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. I provided you guys with a couple of condo lookup tools, whether your buyer's looking for FHA, Fannie, or if they need a spot approval. Just make sure it's already approved. If you're buying a condo and you want to flip it, or if you're about to purchase an investment property to use it as a rental, with the intent of it someday becoming a resale, I highly encourage you to make sure that it is already approved by Fannie Mae, because the likelihood of it getting what's called a spot approval is like 50-50. Those can be time-consuming, a huge headache, and a pain. They're worth it in some cases, not in others, and it's like a 3-week process sometimes. Sometimes not, sometimes 48 hours, but sometimes a 3-week process. Okay, next one. So I highly recommend that you guys get a title search, obviously, before you buy a property. You can get one for $79 from my trusted friend and colleague, Tish Baldwin at MLJ Title. I love MLJ Title just because they'll go so far above and beyond for me and my clients. And I do some special projects catering to different sectors of the market and the community that truly need some additional assistance. And so Tish is great if you need just a simple search, $79. You want to make sure that your search goes back at least 30 days. Not all title searches are made equal. Because that scope of my license prohibits me from going too far an explanation on that. I'll let you reference Tish for more information there. Couple things. If you're going to use a third party, let's say you're out at the Bahamas. You're in the Bahamas for a month and you're just like escaping life and you need somebody to sell your property and you decide not to go the traditional method with a realtor. Let's say you hire a reload company. This just happened very, very recently. You hire a reload company to sell your property. It is imperative that you literally dot every I, cross every T when you sign the documents giving the authority to that entity to be the person that sells your property. Because anytime the owner of record is not the same person listed as the seller, like if the reload company is selling it for you, sincerely, this can be excluded from title insurance coverage and prevent you from selling the house even to a cash buyer. So that's one of those one-off situations. That's not going to be super common, but if I can leave you with a couple gold nuggets today, some crazy situations I've seen that prevent you from making a bad mistake or prevent you from leaving your property on the market for too long, or investing into something that you should invest in. Really, I hope that that's kind of what you hope to gain, is several of those gold nuggets. All right, next slide. before you invest in a property, if you make a decision in your mind and say, you know what, I think I really want to buy something that's going to be for a first-time home buyer. I'm kind of looking for that particular market sector. There's a couple things you'll need to know. FHA and VA don't have an acquisition cost limit. They don't have acquisition cost limits, but they do have similar loan limits. THCA and USDA do have acquisition cost limits, but USDA here in Tennessee is pretty open wide. I can only speak to the Tennessee market. There's some information here on this slide where you can go and look up online if your property that you're looking to sell or invest in is eligible for rural financing. Obviously, you cannot use USDA financing if it's an investment property for yourself, but if you're going to buy property, you're going to rehab it and flip it in 3 to 6 months, and you're like, oh, I want to see if this property qualifies for USDA financing from a future buyer. This is the link to go to. And I've also attached a big, fat PDF on property guidelines because USDA is a stickler. There's some things about wells and septic and utilities and things you'll want to read through. Okay, go to the next slide for me. Also, the Tennessee acquisition costs for THCA are also included. I've provided to Greenwell as well if you need those. Different states have different bond programs. So like here in Tennessee, we use THCA. But like if you're in Kansas or you're in Florida or you're in whatever state, you're likely going to have a bond program that is similar. It helps first-time home buyers and has income maximums. And, when I say acquisition limits, that means the house can't cost more than XYZ dollars, right? Something super cool, USDA just increased their income and acquisition, and so did THCA by roughly about $5,000 in annual income for a 1 to 4 person household. That happened, I think it was last week. If you're in Tennessee, for those of you obviously here in this room tonight, I wanted you to make sure that you know about the THCA hardest hit areas of codes. If you decide to go buy a property in one of these zip codes that you get for dirt cheap, you're going to sell it like that with this program. If your buyer is somebody that needs this program. I've done a couple of these recently. They take roughly about, give or take, 40 days. On average, I close a conventional loan in about 3 weeks. FHA is conventional. That's about 3 weeks. THCA does take a little bit longer, but not too much.
They've gotten better since they moved everything in-house.
They have.
Not having to use US Bank.
They have. They're pretty quick on the draw, but what I have found is that the appraisal is what takes a little bit longer. So not so much that I'm running time at the THCA office. Okay, next slide for me. This is just a map.
Would that be in the packet that you're going to give?
Yeah, it's all in there. Yeah, it's all in there. So this is a map of Tennessee. Anywhere you see red, that's called hardest hit areas. That means anybody who purchases a house in that particular area, okay, they're a first-time home buyer, they can get a $15,000 interest-free, forgivable second mortgage on their property. And when you guys got to know one thing: what maps does your property fall into? Okay, we're gonna talk a lot about maps today. We're talking about THCA, USDA, home ready, home possible, all these eligibility maps, right? Because here's the deal: if you know what your property falls in the map for, you need to list every bit of that information, okay, on the listing in the MLS, because you're going to draw a crowd like flies on poo. Can we say that here? Is that
Yes.
that's how said it. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, I'm not going to go too deep into manufactured homes. Sincerely, I have not financed one in at least 10 years, but I just wanted you to know it can. I haven't seen them.
Doing a THC.
Well, call him. He's your guy. All right, so here's the thing. They just need to be titled as real property. They cannot be registered or listed with the Department of Motor Vehicles as a motor vehicle. Otherwise, it's going to be automatically an LTO. Gone are the days. What was that we used to have back in the day? We had Vandy, and we had Green Points. They used to do those types of loans. Nobody does them anymore. So make sure it's titled as real property.
But it doesn't matter whether it's a mobile home or a manufactured home, as long as it's on a permanent
The reason why I put mobile home / manufactured home there is because they're commonly interchangeable. There actually is a real property definition between a mobile home and a manufactured home. Mobile homes cannot get financing from what I've seen. unless you've got something I don't know about. But manufactured homes can, and that's something we can talk about offline. All right. We talked about THCA, hardest hit areas, the map, the zip codes, and all that good stuff. We'll go to the next one. Okay, this is the big one I'm going to camp out on for a hot minute. These two products are so new, most realtors I talk to don't even know that this is out there yet, okay? Home Ready and Home Possible, these are new mortgage products available nationwide, and almost every lender I know carries these. But I'm not hearing a lot of buzz in the market about these. Here's why these products are awesome and why you need to know if your property falls into the map that's eligibility, that is eligible, I should say, for either of these two things. Number one, both of these products provide for a reduced down payment requirement. Generally speaking, about 3% down instead of 5%. It's conventional financing, but it's a special program for conventional financing called Home Ready or Home Possible. Okay, Home Ready is Fannie Mae, Home Possible is Freddie Mac. Cool thing about this is the monthly payment difference is so much cheaper simply because the mortgage insurance requirement is significantly reduced. Oftentimes, anywhere instead of it's like anywhere from 5 to 10, sometimes even more percentage of less coverage, and that's great. Because if it's a cheaper payment, and obviously home affordability is like under attack, especially here. I'm born and raised here in Nashville, but in any major metropolitan city, the big talk in real estate right now is affordability is going out the window. What are we going to do about affordability? What are we going to do about affordability? So this is just one of those things where if you go to this property eligibility map for these two things, and you know your property qualifies, put that on real estate. Also, you'll have there's a slightly reduced interest rate with most mortgage lenders, not all, but like I know in our company, we oftentimes offer like on a good day in the market about 1/8 of a point in difference for a Home Ready or Home Possible, which is great. Here's the thing about the property eligibility maps with these two properties. All you do is go to this link, plug in your address, that tells you if you qualify. Super easy, right? But there are parts of town that do not have any income restrictions about whether or not that property can be purchased with like, I think here it's like 68,000 and some change is the maximum household annual income allowable, unless the property is in an area with no income restrictions, and then you can make 110 grand and still get all these perks. I mean, I've seen it happen in 2018. Super sweet deal. Okay, next slide. So basically, I'm just saying anything you guys can do to market your property. If you're not marketing specifically to cash buyers, which we'll talk about in a minute, a lot of people are still using mortgage financing in place of cash. All right.
If you can't see,
yeah, well, it's okay. I kind of know it by heart.
I can't see either.
I can't really see. I can see a little bit. That's great. Thank you. All right. So some common FHA mistakes that sellers make. This is just kind of mortgage 101, really. If you've got more than 3 steps on the entrance to a home, you got to put a hammer in it. If you've got windows that are painted shut, you're not going to pass inspection, and you won't even be able to sell the house with FHA or VA. If the utilities are not turned on at the time of the listing, home inspection, or pricing inspection, chipping exterior paint. If I can walk on your floor and bounce on hard floor that should be solid, probably not going to pass. And any visible signs of water damage or like water in the basement, obviously mold, that's going to be an issue. Asbestos, see anything like that. Okay, next slide. The flip rules have been the same for quite a while. You need 3 months, 90 days to flip an FHA, VA, or USDA if your buyer's using that kind of financing, and 180 days on conventional. What that means is don't write it on the 89th day. I'll turn your loan down, and I'm speaking for all mortgage lenders. On the 89th day, if you sign that contract, we will not approve that loan. On the 90th day, you can write your contract. So sincerely take that date seriously. Okay, USDA does not apply that rule. I'm getting corrected.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we got one right now.
I actually just looked at the guideline before I came, and I did see that it was on there, but we can double check and verify in case.
Do you require 2, what do you call it, appraisals?
That's the underwriter's discretion.
No, I don't ever require to appraisals unless it's a jumbo. All right, here's the thing. I want to share with you, I have this question. I think I've done it 5 or 6 times this year. What can I do for a buyer who wants to buy a house that has been improved but it's only been 60 days since the seller bought it, made all these improvements. How can we convince the seller? Well, guess what? If your buyer needs financing, your seller's probably looking for a cash buyer until the 90th day. So what I would say is, if it was my property, my first 90 days, in that window period, I'd be looking for a cash buyer first. And I know, as far as I know, you can do that. You know, you can say accepting cash offers only until XYZ date, whether that's 90 or 180 days. All right, we've already gone through all that. We'll go to the next slide. This one was a shock, but this has been something that I have personally witnessed and seen. So this is a matter of opinion on this first bullet point. Okay, I know you guys might want to throw rocks at me. Don't stone the messenger, right? Paint, carpet, and ceiling fans yield 0 added appraised value.
Sure.
If you ever seen appraisal come in low, the judge was always like, "But they painted," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, that's not enough. You got to do more than just that. You need to make sincere, true cosmetic improvements. Make sure you document and keep your receipts." I'm going to say that again: keep your receipts. I cannot tell you how many times I have stolen deals from mortgage competitors who don't take the time to vet the appraisers on their appraisal list, and they start out with lender A, we'll call them, whoever it may be, and the appraiser is lazy or in a huge time crunch. Lazy or in a time crunch, right? And sometimes the appraiser doesn't feel like doing the work. I've literally stolen business from my competitors over this. If you don't have those receipts to document the work you did, sometimes with the wrong kind of appraiser, it's as if you didn't do it. They won't give you credit for it. That's not in every case, but just keep your receipts. You need it anyway. A couple other things. Always get permits if you're adding square footage onto a house. If you add square footage onto a house and you didn't pull a permit beforehand, I don't care if you made that thing look like the Taj Mahal, the appraiser's not going to give you credit for it. You've got to have the permits pulled. I know that's kind of one of those fundamental things, but just in case, you need to know. If you don't make any improvements, the prior sales price will always prevail in the lender's eye. All right, so let's say you bought a foreclosure house for $50,000. Now you want to sell it for $150,000 because it's really worth market value at $150,000. And in 3 to 6 months, from a mortgage lender standpoint, okay, with a buyer that needs financing, if you did 0 improvements to that house is only worth what you paid for it. Okay, this is a common myth, and you can back me up on this if I'm wrong, but I have seen personally, time and time again, where flippers will come in, because we're a heavy investor market now. All of a sudden, I guess somehow or another we became the cool kid in town overnight, in the last 5 years. Something we never expected for our little old city. But I have seen times where the seller won't make any improvements. They think that they're getting into steel, they're going to sell it as a profit. That would work, okay, if it were 12 months from now, okay, in some cases. In 3 to 6 or 8 or 9 months, that's not going to work. If you didn't make any improvements, the prior sales price will prevail on value no matter what. And I just see that as something that the underwriters sort of take on as a mentality. Doesn't make it right. I'm just telling you there's a difference.
So they don't go on appraised value. They go on the purchase price.
Yeah, because ideally an underwriter's mindset is going to be, well, the property's worth what somebody would pay for it, even if it was a foreclosure. It can get real sticky and be very aggravating.
So they won't even order an appraisal.
No, they will order an appraisal.
Also, they'll do that so they can still charge this consumer, knowing that it ain't going to fly.
No, because lenders don't profit from the charging of appraisals. It's a waste of everybody's time and money. By law, if somebody submits an application, you do have to go through the process, which is something altogether different. But I can promise you, even if that appraised value comes in with a higher value on it, that underwriter's not going to attribute that same value in every single case. Okay, if you've done anything
you got to look for your cash buyer.
9 times out of 10, I've seen appraisers won't give the value if no improvements have been made. And I actually just had one like this in this calendar year, where the argument had to be made by the seller's agent, well, what justifies this higher value? In that case, it wasn't a matter of $100,000 difference, it was a matter of a $20,000 difference. and it was not a foreclosure. It was just
Yeah, I
plain Jane
was
sale.
thinking if somebody dies and you buy it off realty, you're in the same situation.
Right.
You can't turn around and resell it.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of get through this quickly so we're tight on time here. Again, make sure you justify your higher costs through documented repairs. You need to have yourself or your realtor on the site of the home at the time of your appraisal inspection to inform and present the appraiser with their own improvements, comps. You can actually present a list of comparable sales, and it's not necessarily considered influencing the appraiser. If you prepare like a packet of information, as long as you don't try to be forceful or aggressive, you can just present it in a folder, and the appraiser does what he wants to with it. Take your own photos. Oh my gosh, I can't stress this enough. Take your own photos after you've improved a property. I just had a deal recently where this was on a THDA loan. Actually, this was on the same property where they tried to they couldn't justify the additional $20,000 purchase price. Right? They had made, according to the appraiser, they had made 0 improvements. Seller over here saying, no, I did this, this, and this, and made a list, had no documentation. Appraiser's pulling old MLS photos and also using the same photos as the new appraisal report photos. Same set of photos used in 2 areas. If you don't have your own set of photos and you fall into the hands of a not so awesome appraiser, you might lose that buyer. You have to mark the message. So that's just something to think about. To DIY or not to DIY, that is the question. So don't do it yourself when it comes to electrical, AC ductwork, or HVAC work, or any structural changes requiring load-bearing walls, because picky lenders will say no to those particular items. Everything else you probably are going to be fairly okay on. That's not like a rule of thumb. That's just from my experience and what I've seen. Okay, next one. This is a big one. So a lot of investors want to either rent out their properties or do lease purchase agreements. They're making a comeback. So the underwriting guidelines nowadays are way different, okay, from 7 or 8 years ago. What I recommend that you do for your own good is spend the $350, get a private market rent survey by a licensed appraiser before you ever sign a lease agreement. With a tenant, get them pre-approved with the lender and see how bad their credit is, because usually if they want to lease purchase, they have bad credit. Here's the big thing. Nowadays, FHA will only credit the portion of rent above the current market rent survey towards the borrower's down payment. So many of you guys might remember back in the day, right, you could credit a certain percentage of the buyer's monthly rent towards the down payment or whatever verbiage was in the lease contract. Not anymore, okay? It's only the portion of money that they paid, that the tenant/buyer paid the owner of the property above the market rent survey that can be credited towards their down payment from the lending standpoint. Now, here's how you get around that. Okay, I've got somebody right now, childhood friend of mine. I've done 4 mortgage loans for him over the years. He's got a tenant in his investment property right now. That particular tenant he actually knows personally. So what he's doing, and they're not under contract yet, but this is what they've been verbally talking about. So this isn't only official yet, but they've been talking about he will allow that tenant to use all of their rent funds via a price reduction to the total overall purchase price, but he's not going to put in contract. Now, I'm not telling you that's illegal. I don't think that is. I'm just telling you that that's happening. Okay, so I'm not endorsing any illegal activities, just so we're clear. All right, go to the next one. Know your school district and your scores. There's so many websites out there you can get this information from. If you're in a great school district, you need to you can only post, you're really limited on what you can say, so you need to consult a realtor about that. But if you're in a bad school district, tell them about this is something I think that is really, really, really important. I do think that you should obtain a title search prior to purchasing the property. Definitely obtain a pre-listing private appraisal report for your own reference immediately prior to listing. I had a client, and we just closed 2 weeks ago. This is a true story. Down in Saudi Daisy, okay. None of my appraisers wanted to accept the property appraisal order because it only had 1 bedroom above grade and it had several other bedrooms below grade. And they felt like, I mean, this property was just immaculate. And in my opinion, it was like so attractive, and I think it was a great property. Well, we started to get multiple rejections from multiple appraisers saying, hey, this property, I literally have a note from an appraiser that says this property defies all real estate standards of certification, but is worth every penny that the seller's asking. Because I cannot put comparable sales into a grid that would exactly match a one-bedroom, 4,500 square foot house, okay, I'm going to decline the offer, but if you find somebody that can do it, I'll be glad to do the certification. And that is exactly what we did. And it did appraise. And that seller's agent, Carol, I won't say her last name, but Carol did her due diligence. She got one of these pre-listing appraisal reports, and it sincerely saved our bacon because there was pertinent data in there that our appraiser wasn't seeing. So before we had an issue, we had something to refer back to. So it can literally prevent problems if you go ahead and spend a little bit of money and get that. We talked about being present at the time that the buyer's appraiser arrives. Get a pre-listing home inspection. You don't know everything. That's the biggest mistake I think inspectors make. Oh, I've been a real estate investor for 30 years. I know a good property when I see one. Well, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's behind those walls. You may not know what's down in that crawl space, especially if you haven't gotten down there, because not too many people do. So I recommend you spend the bucks to do that. Trying to remember what the reference was on that particular one. Oh, that's the property we just talked about. Okay. I want you guys to be aware of buying a mixed-use property as an investment and then later trying to sell it, because the likelihood of that thing getting approved for financing by a future buyer is very slim. Obviously, get a termite, get a radon test done. We have a lot of radon here in Nashville. It's pretty common to some of the millennial buyers. If it's their first property, if it can be remediated, great. But to millennials, who are 49% of our market right now, that's a large segment. I had a buyer completely freak out, even though it could be remediated, just because the word, toxic gas, whatever was in the report that she got, scared her. Make sure utilities are turned on and find out if your property's in a floodplain. Pretty basic stuff. But these little things can make, an ounce of prevention's worth of time of cure. So we'll go to the next one. We're almost done, guys. Here's a big one. Whatever you do, don't ever violate the Fair Housing Act, which includes 7 protected classes based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and familial status. And this last term does refer to the presence of at least one child under the age of 18. And it also protects tenants who are pregnant or in the process of adopting a child. There's no faster way than for the home buyer to confide in the lender who they have a relationship with and talk about a bad experience, and somehow or another that gets repeated and then gets repeated for 6 years of separation from everybody. Be careful what you say and do. And then the next one. That's all. All right. What questions do you guys have? Anything for me? Any questions you can think of just off the top of your head?
The whole possible is first-time buyers.
No, home ready is for first-time buyers. Home possible, you do not have to be a first-time buyer. And there's some cool stuff that those 2 products will allow you to do in terms of like financing for a future buyer. Like there's, say 2 roommates have lived together for a year. One wants to buy a house, and then the second roommate wants to rent from roommate number 1. You can actually now use room rent as income, which is something we haven't seen since our subprime days. And that's crazy. I love that. That makes so much sense, but you have to prove you lived together for 12 months prior to going under contract.
Do you have anything out there like where you got 3 or 4 rental properties and you want to group them together to get a line of credit?
No, because it's my understanding that cross-collateralization is now no longer a thing. You might be able to find that on some type of portfolio deal on a depository bank, but in terms of mortgage lending, that no longer exists. And if they did offer cross-collateralization, it would not necessarily be considered a mortgage loan. What they might have you do is secure it with additional collateral and allow you to pay off those other mortgages. Anything else? So they find ways around it. They find ways around it, basically. Like if you owned a big yacht, debt free. I'm just giving an example. You know.
Actually, he does.
No, I
So you have like a
Get
recreation
you.
company, you can do that. Anything else, guys?
almost got it, didn't I?
I got a question.
Okay.
I saw the thing on your slide that said, pulling the permits and the appraiser can't do something because they didn't pull the appraisers.
Yeah.
Can you pull the permits after the fact?
No, the permits have to be pulled prior to the work being done.
What do they do now?
You don't get credit for anything. You have actually seen it happen twice in the last 13 years. You will not get credit. It will not be added in the appraised value if you do not pull permits. Reason being is they don't know if the quality of the work was sound. They can't certify that it was done safely. So, and you know that list of don'ts, when I said don't do electrical, HVAC, AC duct work, and same reason, because those have to be done.
It's up to codes.
Yeah, so it's so done out.
So let's be inspected, come by and make sure that everything's okay, write it off, sign it off.
Right.
Yes, just like building a house. When you're doing an addition, you follow the same guidelines as new construction. You have to go by the book.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else? Yeah, I know you know.
Well, I've done one.
We'll check on that USDA guideline too.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I closed one Friday.
Oh, you did?
My house, I was a seller. And I know I was on target less than 90 days.
Okay.
I'm not doing the loan, but I'm involved with Les and his wife and a couple other investors on a house in Fairview.
Okay.
And we flipped the people off of FHA onto
How do you do?
the same thing with my buyer on the house I redid. She came in with a pre-qual letter, and it really hurt me. Pre-qual letter from a local lender for an FHA. Okay, it's in Robertson County. Every house in Robertson County is eligible for USDA. It's the whole county. He doesn't know his business. Why would you do that? She qualified. You know, there are reasons you might have to go
Maybe the
that way.
lender didn't know at the time they worked with the letters in the house.
You know, that he should know.
Yeah.
He should know. That's his job. That's our job.
That's true. If
That's
you
our
put the
job.
property address on there on that pre-approved letter, you have to know it. Because we're not all lenders too. They may just say,
Yeah, it just hurts me to no end.
Yeah.
And I told it through my agent, told her agent, that's why she doesn't have a USDA because I couldn't accept her offer on the FHA
oh wow.
because I'd only been on.
See, you were armed with information that saved you a whole bunch of time and headache. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then they came back to us the next day and said, "Oh yeah, she qualifies." And I'm like, "Well, you jackalope, why didn't you have her?" Because you know it's a much better month.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about that guy that we're dealing with
No,
right
he's
I'm
now?
talking about a house that I sold last Friday
Oh,
that
okay.
I bought in February, and the buyer came in with an FHA approval, and I told Steve, I said, ask the other agent why in Robinson County, where every house is eligible for USDA
Right,
financing,
right.
on the surface, I mean, there would be reasons it wouldn't, but on the surface,
Right.
every address in Robertson County is eligible by location for a USDA loan. And they said, "Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, there's no reason. We're just like, well, see, if she had gone through with the FHA loan over the life of the loan because of the difference in MI alone,
Right,
it would cost her a ton more money."
right, that's high mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And this was a $200,000, similar to our house in
You
Fairview.
guys are saying similar to Bradenburg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, same district.
And it just made me mad that the loan officer didn't do his job and find his client the best loan for her
Right,
situation.
just to put them in what they were used to.
Or like taking one
Well, it
off.
could have been that they made too much money.
Could have, no, but I'm saying she qualified because we closed. I mean, we closed Friday. I saw the settlement statement. She's getting her, she's got her USDA loan. Otherwise, we couldn't have closed because FHA, I hadn't been on title.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, you did the 90-day flip.
Right.
Same thing with Bradenburg.
Yeah.
Any other questions for you guys?
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, Mark has one.
Hey, Mark.
I'm in Fort Myers, Florida.
Is he already down?
He's driving a car.
Tell him I can't hear him.
Well, I got one. I got to give the guy $8,000. I got to take over his payments, put about another $4,000, $5,000 in, sold for probably a $15,000 to $20,000 profit. Well, I feel like, well, since I had to pull a new one, I might as well buy another one. There's a sailboat access house built in the 50s. It's worth nothing. I was going to buy it for like $50,000, knock it down, and put in a small. We build like tiny houses, more like a 700 square foot house. Can I get a loan to buy the house, knock it down, and build another house?
Whew. You know what? I am not a renovation loan expert, and I don't want to steer you wrong. By any means, never have I seen any kind of renovation allow you to totally demolish a house and beyond the bare
I
bones.
think a full blown 203K, FHA 203K.
Anything that's full demolished, I don't think that you can do that.
That's right. You can take down the
Take down the
foundation.
You go to the
Yeah.
foundation.
No, you can take the foundation, build back on the existing foundation.
I don't know. I don't think so. It's not my understanding that that's what we can do. But you,
I think it's probably worth 90 or 100.
Mark, for you, the answer is no.
Does it have a foundation in Florida?
Larry, can I borrow $100,000? No.
No. The answer is no.
no,
Get you a bank.
I've never heard of full demolition.
All right.
You know what? One of the tiny houses. Why you mentioned that is passing Section 32 high cost roofs.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something to figure out how to solve. I know that a Fannie Mae ruling came out earlier this year, but I never did read it. I bookmarked it and never did go there. So that's going to be a big challenge. How do we pass high cost rules on a tiny house?
You gotta have a higher credit score than a regular house.
It doesn't matter how high the credit score is. There's a minimum of $3,200 in closing costs, and that tiny house costs you $10,000.
No,
You're going to go whack.
no.
I mean, it probably would be more. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. And I do remember why. No, I'm getting slow.
So I'll come back to you.
All right. Well, Steve's not here tonight. Mark is in Florida. Appreciate the folks who did come. Everybody that's in the room right now has heard the spiel, so there's no reason to really give the spiel. But Green is a education company. Also look to help you build a business within the Green education model, where you are paid to bring in your referrals and have a downline, and Steve can explain all that the next time he's here. So with that, I'm just going to wrap it up, call it a night, and hey, we're out early.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Christina, and thank you.
Hey, how did we get?